What if the smartest money move wasn't doing more, but doing almost nothing and just waiting? Picture this. You plant one tiny seed, you walk away, you barely think about it, and years later you come back to a whole orchard.
From one seed? Come on.
That's the strange, almost magical idea behind compound interest, and once it clicks, you'll never look at money the same way. So let's plant that first seed and watch what happens. First, what compound interest actually is. So here's your seed. Let's say you set aside a little money. Over time, it earns a bit extra. Think of that extra as your first few apples. With a plain savings idea, you just keep getting the same few apples year after year. But compound interest does something sneaky good. It takes those apples and plants their seeds.
So the apples grow more trees?
Exactly. Your money earns a little. Then that little bit also starts earning interest, earning interest, apples planting trees that grow more apples. That tiny loop, your returns making their own returns, is the whole secret. Everything else today is just that loop, running longer. Now, simple versus compound. Watch the gap. Let's put it side by side. Two gardens. Garden A is simple. Every year, it hands you the same little pile of apples. Steady, but flat. The orchard never really grows. Garden B is compound. Every year, you replant the seeds from your apples. So next year, there are a few more trees, making a few more apples, making a few more seeds.
At first, they look almost the same, though.
They do. For a while, Garden B barely looks different, and that's the part that fools people. But give it time, and Garden B doesn't just beat Garden A, it leaves it in the dust. Here's the real hero, time. Which brings us to the real hero of this story. It's not a fancy trick, it's time. Compounding is boring, and then suddenly, it isn't. The growth starts slow. One tree, then two, then four. Easy to ignore. But here's the weird part. In a lot of compounding examples, more than half of the final growth shows up near the end of the journey, not at the beginning.
What? Wait, seriously?
Seriously, the early years look almost flat. Then the curve goes nearly vertical. Same plan, just more time stacking up.
So the longer you leave it,
the more the effect compounds. Time does the heavy lifting while you just let it grow. A quick trick, the rule of 72. Here's a fun shortcut money nerds love, the rule of 72. Want a rough idea of how long it takes your orchard to double? Take the number 72 and divide it by your yearly growth rate. Say something grows about 8% a year, purely as a math example, not a promise. 72 divided by 8 is 9, so very roughly, it doubles about every 9 years.
and then doubles again?
That's the kicker. Double, then double the bigger pile, then double that. It's just a rule of thumb. Real life wiggles around, but watch what those doublings actually do. Start with one tree, give it time. Now it's 2, wait again, 4, then 8, then 16.
And it just keeps going?
It keeps going, and each double builds on the one before, so the last few jumps are the biggest of all. A handful of doublings is how a single tree quietly becomes a whole forest. That's what time does to compounding. Start early or start big, let's settle it. Now the part that surprises almost everyone. Maar time is het vaak voorbij zijn. Beat 2 friends. Aisha plants her little orchard early, adds for just a few years, then stops and walks away. Ben waits, starts later, and plants even more than Aisha did.
Ben planted more, so Ben wins, right?
You'd think so, but in classic examples like this, the early starter often ends up ahead, even after planting less. Why? Aisha gave her trees more time to keep replanting themselves.
So Aisha wasn't smarter. She just gave the trees more birthdays.
Beautifully put. More birthdays, more replanting. This is hypothetical, just to show the idea. But the takeaway is real. With compounding, starting early can matter more than starting big. The best part, it grows while you live. And the beautiful part, once it's planted, compounding doesn't need you hovering over it. You don't dig up the seeds every week to check on them. The trees grow while you're at work, while you sleep, while you're just living your life.
So doing less is kind of the skill?
Honestly, yeah. The main job is to let the apples replant themselves instead of grabbing them all, and then be patient. Set it up, let it run, check in once in a while. Boring on purpose. Careful, these quietly shrink it. So what can shrink the orchard? A few things worth knowing. 1. Pulling apples too early. Every time you dig up the seeds to spend them, you cut the loop short, and those future trees never grow. 2. Pests. Remember our last video on fees? High fees are like little bugs nibbling a bit off every tree every year. Those tiny pests don't look dangerous at first, and that's exactly why fees can be so powerful over long stretches of time. Small bites, big difference.
And impatience?
That's the big one. Ripping everything out the moment the weather turns rough means the orchard never gets to do its slow magic. The math just needs time to work. Plot twist. It cuts both ways. Quick but important twist. This same force doesn't only work for you, it can work against you. Picture weeds instead of fruit trees. High-interest debt compounds too, except those weeds grow on their own and choke the garden faster and faster.
So the magic bot in reverse.
Exactly. That's why this stuff is worth respecting. And it's not to scare you. It's the same math pointed the other way. The patience that grows an orchard is what keeps the weeds out. Aim the force the right way and let it work for your side. Finally, how to plant your first seed. So how do you plant your first seed? Good news, you start small. And let's clear 2 thoughts that stop almost everyone. I don't have enough and I've already missed it. Here's the thing, it's rarely about a big pile of seeds or perfect timing. It's about starting and giving it time. Honestly, the cost of 1 coffee a week, set aside consistently, can be a seed. Small, steady, and patient beats big and late. There's an old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Quick recap?
Compound interest is returns earning their own returns. It starts slow, then snowballs. Time is the magic ingredient. Starting early beats starting big, and patience protects the whole thing. One more time, because it matters. This is education, not financial advice. Always do your own research before any money decision. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks, everyone.
If something finally clicked, tap subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.